All right, fellas, we got our headlines draft as we head into the season. We're going to do it snake draft style. John, you get the first pick. Jerel, you second. Me third. Boys, what are some overarching stories or headlines you're looking forward to as we roll into this 2025 season? John, you get the first pick tonight.
Yeah, I'm going first pick. I'm going with what the Gaffney Indians look like post Dan Jones.
Ooh, I like that. A lot of talent back, as we know, but losing a guy who's won multiple state titles certainly could be interesting for the Indians there.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. I mean, Coach Littlejohn stepping into those humongous shoes to fill is going to be very, very interesting. Glad that we got to catch up with him, but you don't have that steady and calming presence. So we'll see how it goes.
I don't think the drop off is going to be too far. I think Gaffney has built the template for what they've got. I think they're gonna. I don't think we're going to see a huge drop off.
Jerel, what's your pick for number 2 here?
Mine, I mean, this, I like to stir the pot a little bit, but without getting in it too deep, Daniel, I mean, this is a program that has been a state title contending program, had a coaching turnover here. I mean, there's been a little bit of controversy surrounding the program. So is this, what happened in the offseason? Is it going to be a rallying point or a tipping point for the Daniel Lions program?
I think I'm not going to say it's going to be a rallying point. I don't think they're going to come out and be, oh my gosh, we've never seen Daniel play like this before. But I don't think we're going to see them just dive either. I think a lot of it is with young kids, confidence is a huge thing. They play in a relatively winnable region. I think over the season, they're going to get a lot of confidence. I know they play Clinton. That's going to be a tough game. But I think as the year goes, it's going to become football. And these things in the offseason are going to be in the past. They're going to get into football. They're going to win some games. They're going to grow confidence, build chemistry. And I think they're going to be fine.
Agreed. I think it's a rallying point for these boys. A lot of talent there for Coach Stone in year one. I think Daniel's going to be a good football team this year.
All right, next one.
I get 2 picks. Great for me. So my first one here, guys. My first one here, the same old story, as in, are we going to see a bunch of state title rematches from last year?
I think we are. I think we've seen the talent. There's been a lot of really good young talent on a lot of these teams. We see the stalwarts in Dutch Fork. I think as I say, the more things change, the more they stay the same. I think we're going to have some surprise teams, but I think when it comes down to the weekend of champions, we're going to see a lot of familiar faces.
Yeah, I think so too this year. And I don't know, I guess another question that kind of leads to this is that may be connected is it a byproduct of how transfers have changed and affected the landscape in high school football? Guys want to go to programs that win. I mean, we see it happen from the pro ranks. You see those franchises who consistently win, attract free agent talent. You've seen it go into college football for many, many years, even before the transfer portal. And now it's trickled into this. Not to say that there's not a lot of homegrown talent at these programs, but you obviously get some boosts when you have shown a consistent winning program and pedigree. And now that it's, available, we've seen it available in different, school districts and things like that. But now that it's available and approved by the league, I think we're going to see a lot of the same teams up top.
Out of the 6 state titles that we crown, I would only be surprised by maybe 2 if we saw the same matchup. I think the other 4, there's a really good chance, and we'll kind of see how that shakes out. But my second pick here, this one might rile some folks up. Who's the big dog in York County right now? I know South Point has got a lot of talent. They brought in a lot of pieces, but Northwestern, they are coming off a state title win in 2024.
I'll jump in first and give John a break there. I mean, I think you got to go Northwestern. They won the state title last year. I think they're the big dog right now here in Football City. I mean, South Point, they've got all of the buzz. I think that's probably the most buzzworthy team of the all season, regardless of classification. But them trophies starting to get a little dust on them, if I'll say myself.
Exactly right, Jerel. Northwestern's got the hardware. But come week 4 and 5, as South Point is just blowing people out of the water, nobody's going to be talking about the Northwestern Irmo game last December. They're going to be talking about the Stallions. It's going to be What have you done for me lately? What have you done for me this year? I agree. It's the Trojans, but South Point's got a chance to take Football City this year. But they got to do it. You got to go out and do it.
Jerel, your second pick, what do you got for us?
In the spirit, and I want to tease this because, every year we do a watch list for Mr. Football with our Super 75, guys that we think are really good candidates, not necessarily the best players in the state or the best seniors, but we think are good candidates for the Mr. Football Award. We know that award is all encompassing. It's not just what your performance is like on the football field. We've had some issues with previous winners. It's kind of hard for me. It always taken my crawl that Lenora Sellers did not win Mr. Football, as he is now trending towards Heisman finalist candidate and, number 1 overall NFL pick and wasn't picked as Mr. Football. That's neither here nor there, but long-winded way to say, who are some Mr. Football favorites that you guys have for this year?
It's tough for me. I think you have to be on the offensive side of the football most times to be a serious candidate. But to me, I don't know if there's a better player in the state than Tamarian Watkins.
Really good pick out of Northwestern. I like that pick a lot. And it's an interesting award, Drill. Like you mentioned, we've seen some linemen win it. So you could look at a guy like Zion Giles, a Carolina commit, and maybe a Desmond Green, a Florida commit. They could certainly be in it. I think Contavian Anderson at Dorman, if he can get some big numbers on defense as well, I think he's certainly a candidate for that. A team that we just talked about, South Point. I think there's a legit shot that Jazavian Currents, the number 1 player in the state, plays over the field, or Cam McMillan has huge numbers at the quarterback spot. I think they both could be contenders for Mr. Football.
Yeah, those are some great candidates. I think, you look at the kids who are committed to Power 4 schools in state. I think they get a lot of love. That Watkins pick's kind of interesting for me because, again, I like to stir the pot. He went to Texas A&M, leaving in state and going to that. So really happy to see what Tamarian can do there. And another one I like, Javon Gilmore. He's in one of those historic programs, going to go play for the Arkansas Razorbacks, but it's going to be really intriguing. I'm excited to see who's going to win that one.
One more. Savy Wooden, Batesburg-Leesville. Watch out.
Baller.
Big numbers coming for Savy. But, John, what's your last pick of the night to round us out here?
We talk about earlier, you said, are we going to see chalk in Orangeburg? We're going to see a lot of state championships that were the same as last year. What classification is going to be the most competitive and the most up in the air? While you guys think about it, I think it's 4A. I think
Really?
there's a lot of really good teams, but a lot of good teams that have to fill some big time gaps. West Side having to replace all the talent they had. South Florence reloading a little bit themselves. A lot of questions in 4A.
I'll jump in, man. I think it's going to be 3A. Kevin, sorry if I'm stealing your thunder here. I think 3A because mainly because we were just talking about this a little while ago off air. It's going to be a really wide pool there. I think there's some really, really good teams. Obviously that classification got gutted with teams going up and down. I think you see like those private schools from the Greenville area adjust, to that curve with depth and things like that. So I think they're going to be improved, and overall it's going to make that one a little bit deeper.
I was leaning 3A, but I'm going to take 2A now, Jerel, because I think with 3A, I think there's a lot of teams that we know are going to be like good, like 10 to 15 deep. 2A, I think it's a lot more unknown. Like we just don't know, but I assume there will be some really big hitters that come on and make it competitive down the stretch. I think 2A is the pick for me. But guys, that'll wrap up our first headlines draft heading into the season here. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Send us some ideas for the next one. It'll be a lot of fun to do again. But for Jerel Hendricks and John Epps, I'm Kevin Thomas. This has been our season preview headlines draft. Talk to you guys soon.